know you make me float, float. Boy, you really give me high. Ooh, I feel like I'm on dope, dope. 'Cause you serve me on a regular.
Hi everyone, this is Pepper Pace and welcome to the next version of our journey to bring life to little Steven, Realborn Steven. So when we left off, we had did just kind of like a final coat to protect the paint, and that is cured. I don't think I saved it so that we can here it is. Let's take a look at what a clear seal coat looks like. Wow. Look at that. That is what's protecting your silicone. So that's pretty tough. Okay. So now we have our little limb. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to mix a very thin silicone, a thin paint, because all we need to do is just make sure that we have something that is wet enough to attach the matting powder, or sometimes it's called finishing powder, and sometimes it's called silicone powder. So we're trying to get the thinnest coat possible. And then we're going to pounce it off. And if you stay tuned, we're going to show the inspiration for my little Steven, which is little Steven, my little nephew Steven, which is another silicone kit made by my sister. She did it first. She did it great. And you have to take a look at her channel. She has a TikTok channel where she showcases her little reborns and possibly one day her silicone dolls. My sister's name is, well, what's your name, sister?
On TikTok is Sunflower Angel Babies.
Yep. And then she also has a Reborn shop on Etsy and on reborns.com. When you mat, please wear protective gear. Wear a mask, because it is a very, very fine powder and it stays in the air. And as a matter of fact, typically I wear a cap on my head, because once my son told me, "What is that in your hair?" And I did not even realize that I had silicone dust in my hair. All right. I did want to mention that I did flip the puppy pad over, and that's because it's not as important not to pick up fibers at this point. Also, what we are doing is covering every bit of the doll, the hands, between the fingers, the nails. We don't have to, and we're going to mat it, so it's going to not be glossy anymore. We don't have to worry about avoiding certain places like the lips, because we will come back and re-gloss that. So it's okay if we mat those areas that we typically want glossy. So once again, I do not want a whole bunch of silicone stuck between the fingers, so we don't want a big silicone ball once this baby is completely matted. And we're using a cool, which means that it's not a warm limb. As in the last one, I told you that if your silicone is warm, meaning your limb is warm, it will start curing faster. And we need time to get all of the pieces painted so that we can start the powder process. I can do one limb at a time, but I don't want to. You know why? Because then I'll have matting powder all over myself, and it'll start sticking to the it'll start sticking to the silicone. All right, I think that I have silicone everywhere, so we're gonna move quickly. Okay, so now we are going to begin the process of matting. I am wearing a mask and I am wearing an apron, although it's a black apron, because this powder becomes very airborne. Now I am using one of these boxes. It really helps. And I have Sam silicone powder, which they call it, I think, silicone finishing powder. And also I have a matting powder that came with the kit, but it's all used up. But I still use this. I still use this little dispenser. And yeah, here is the tricky part. It is to apply the powder liberally but lightly. Using this plate helps to collect it because this powder is very expensive. We have a matting brush, and when we say expensive, it's very expensive. So what we're doing is we're dusting the limbs. We're not trying to rub the powder in there, but you are going to have to brush the powder off lightly. And we are getting rid of that shine. And I'm avoiding touching this baby. So once I get the palms done well, I feel comfortable with laying it lightly on the plate to use it as a little anchor. And make sure we get all areas You will be amazed what you forget to get after you've washed off this powder and you have a shiny spot. Okay, so there we go. That is one limb, one arm, and I feel like between the fingertips it could use a little more. And then when I see a little glow, I just kind of brush it off. Ooh, I'm so happy I have this mask on. I can still feel it. I used to have a heavier mask, but I used them all up. And this is just like a hospital mask. So now we're going to do the same thing with this hand. I think I did the hands first, so I'm trying to make sure I do it in enough order that the cure time didn't affect. Yeah, the cure time didn't affect the ability to matte. And just like the name says, matte, we're getting rid of that glossiness. Oops, his hand up. Stay down there. Stay down there, little one. All right. So we are kind of working fast, but not so fast that you aren't doing it good. Do it right the first time so that hopefully you don't have to come back and do it again. And if you have to come back and do it again, so what? You just spot. You don't have to do the whole thing again. You're just doing the spots that we see. All right, the elbow is still shiny. Oh, and you see what we're doing. It's just tapping it on very lightly, dusting it. It is all in the air. It's probably, you can see it probably in the camera that it's very airborne. But then we'll just kind of tap off the excess. This still looks shiny there. See that? That is still shiny. So, and it's still shiny here. Still has a wrist. See, a little bit of shine on the wrist. Okay. See, I think it looks pretty good, but I'm gonna just go over this part one last time. Y'all might be hearing my cat eating. All right, now before we start the legs and the head, we're just going to get some of this powder back into the plate. And it's just like a broom. Sweep it up. Put it in there like that. Save this, recycle, reuse. Okay, holding Steven is a labor of love. All right, I'm not going to touch it, although I'm tempted. All right, when we return, Steven will have been cured, and we will begin the process of washing him off and seeing what he looks like. All right. Okay, now the body parts have cured, and the shine is off. We are going to, oh, let's see, nope, that's not shine. We're gonna let this little one sit here for a minute, and then we will submerge it and try to dissolve the matting powder, and then we'll see the finished results. And this is the inspiration. This is the Steven that was made by my sister. You have to visit her shop. She did an excellent job. I love his little ears, and I love the pores in his face. That's what the effect I was trying to go for by using that pouncing sponge. Okay, the zip ties have been removed. The kit is now cured, and it's time to soak off the matting powder. Okay, So right now, we'll take a quick look. There is no shine. Take a little dunk, baby. Some people don't soak them, but I think I had one kit in which I didn't, this feels a little sticky still, in which I did not, I just kind of rinsed it off, and I still found matting powder everywhere. So I did see someone on YouTube where they, oops, we left one zip tie. Get that in a moment. And I actually dropped Steven, so he might have some little stuff on him. His head bounced like a ball. Look at him. All right, Steven. We'll get a better idea once we get the matting powder off of you. And we're just gonna let him sit there for a couple of minutes. Then we'll come back and we will wash him with Dawn dishwashing liquid. And I do know, I say Dawn, you might use other types of dishwashing liquid, but you know, the commercials where when there's like an oil slide or something like that, they always use Dawn to clean off the little animals that's trapped in, you know, the oil. So I guess that's why people specifically say Dawn. So we are going to just let them soak for a while, dissolve away some of that matting powder. Then I'll be back in about 5 minutes. Okay, it's been about 5 minutes and I can still feel matting powder, but it's okay. We're just going to use our hands at first just to get some of it off. I want to feel sticky. So now we have the pieces, the limbs, and the head. We're going to get him dried off, and we're going to take a look and see what we got. Immediately, I noticed that he was super sticky. I mean, as sticky as he was before he was treated. So he is attracting every little piece of lint, every piece of hair, and it's not a problem. Normally after you mat, it gets rid of the stickiness, but we know that we're not dealing with the perfect kit due to some of the things that I did to it. Let me put that disclaimer there. I did some things to the kit to make it a little more difficult. So you got to go back and watch the first video where I discussed that. But when we powder him, it will definitely get rid of any stickiness. What do you think, guys? What do you think of little Steven? He's gotten a lot lighter, that's for certain. I thought he was going to be a lot browner. Okay. Oops. Let's get the rest of his limbs. And let's get a close-up look at that cute little fat leg. Wow, I think it turned out perfectly. Even the uneven blotchiness, like I said, looks like variations in skin tone. His nails are perfectly preserved, and I like the bottom of his feet. I see veins there, a little bit of veins there. Again, a lot of lint. Probably should not have used that towel. On his hands, I see a little bit of veining here. I do wish the palms of his hands had accepted more color, but it just wouldn't. A little more veining here. And there's that little spot. I'm going to treat that spot a little bit later. We'll take a look at it. Fingertips are just perfect. Again, I would have probably added a little bit more rosiness to the tips, but it just wouldn't take it. His ears are really good. I like the color there. I'm not completely happy with Steven's lips, or the color actually is what I'm not completely happy with, but the kit just really wouldn't accept color. However, I did address it a little bit later. So even though you do matting, you have to come back and do some glossing. So I took care of those lips and that little spot on his arm. Now we're going to get rid of this stickiness. I'm going to use this talc-free powder, baby powder, dusting powder. You can use the matting powder, although that's very expensive when you can just use this type of powder. I got this from Amazon, and you just get a little flat dish, and you use a cosmetic brush and just dust away. You won't normally have to use as much as I had to use to get rid of his stickiness, because your kit, when you buy it, or your doll, whenever you adopt him, should not be sticky like this. So just a little bit of powder will, in small spots, should help get rid of the stickiness. But this absolutely helped, and he was as smooth as a newborn baby afterwards. His head still has a lot of lint. I'm pulling lint off of the brush as it collects from his head after the powdering. And I think tomorrow, after he has naturally dried from his bath and all of the little traumas that we put poor Steven through to get him birthed, it'll be a lot better. And here's our little Steven, nicely matted, all polished and clean, ready to meet the world. He is at this point about 95% completed. So if you stay tuned to the next and final episode, we will formally introduce Steven, and we are going to do some glossing. I told you I would address his lips. And we're going to tip the nails, or I should say gloss the nails, and we'll do a little rooting, do some eyelashes. We're going to leave him eyebrow free because he's a newborn. He's actually a preemie. So stay tuned to the next episode, and thanks for watching.